Been trying to get this business right for some years, but who really cares? Incorporated my company with 100 million shares, but who really cares? I taught myself to wholesale real estate in about a year, but who really cares? My trust revocable for the benefit of a chosen few, but who really there? Who really there? You? What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the Consumers Lifestyle channel. It's your man Wilk. Thank you for tuning in, and like, subscribe if you haven't had a chance to already. Let's get into it, man. Today's video is going to be about the Biden administration and the rule forcing good credit home buyers to subsidize loans to higher risk borrowers. So yeah, it's one of those today. We're gonna talk about what's going on in the community as far as how people are feeling about this new rule. Um, Maybe your credit score is high, and this probably could affect you at this point. Maybe your credit score is low, and this could affect you at this point. But regardless, this is for informational purposes and just for some enlightenment on what's going on. I'm a licensed mortgage loan originator, recently licensed, and I'm very proud of it. Very happy. Check out my last video if you haven't gotten a chance. It's about how I received my mortgage license in 90 days or less. But yeah, let's get back to it. I don't want to get off topic. So yeah, basically, um, one of the hosts on Fox Business, he argued that homeowners with good credit will pay for their success. I thought that was very interesting. It caught my eye. I'm like, pay for your success. Like, what do you mean by that? I think that everyone needs to kind of take a step back and really look at where the solution needs to be focused. I feel like a lot of people who may have opinions on stuff like this, they're really not even going to be affected by the um, the payment that's going to be, in effect on May 1st, or the way the payment is going to be, um, affecting, borrowers on May 1st. But yeah, I feel like a lot of people who may have an opinion on something like this, it's not even something that concerns them. I think that the point here is that the Biden administration, they made a commitment to home ownership, to making home ownership available to Americans. And the definition of American, it could be up in the air for for a lot of people, but regardless, I'm pretty sure we all consider ourselves Americans. And if you try to deny either any one of us, a right to have a home, I just don't think it's right. And I'm speaking as an American. It's not about black or white, but just as an American in general and what's best for us overall. Um, Again, um, terms, they could be used however you want, but I'm just kind of letting you guys know here that uh, this stuff is not about race, in my opinion, but it is about the fact that the Biden administration obviously does recognize that they were redlining, that they were blockbusting, um, that the practices in the mortgage industry were hellified, and there were people who were affected positively and there were people who were affected negatively. And the way that you can see who was affected in which ways is the way in which the wealth is transferred through generations. The generational wealth transfer in the black or colored community has been a shit show. There hasn't been a real wealth transfer um, here because we don't have equity, or I don't want to say we, but the color community, the black community, African Americans, there's no equity in the community. People don't even know what equity is. Well, some people, again, subscribe if you haven't already, like the channel if you haven't already. Um, but some people don't know what equity is. And I think that a lot of families successfully built their businesses off of the opportunity to access equity. I feel like even the equity is still having its effect to this day. So with people who didn't have access to equity, it's still having its effect to this day. With people who had access to equity, it's still having its effect to this day. I think that that needs to be recognized. I think that the finger doesn't need to get pointed at anyone in particular. It just needs to get put on the paper and, get a pencil inside of the hand and start writing, start figuring out a solution that's going to be fair for everyone. Um, Again, so this new rule is going to be forcing good credit home buyers to subsidize loans to higher risk borrowers, and is set to go into effect on May 1st. Um, so, some of these real estate experts, they're saying that it's madness. They're saying that it feels like 2007 and 2008 again, where the lenders are giving the money to people who can't afford loans. And again, I mean, I don't know what they're trying to say without trying to say it, but it kind of feels a little bit, racy. If you ask me, I'm gonna say it, man. Subscribe to the channel, man, if you haven't already. But that's how it feels. It feels like we're trying to take this in a different direction. I feel like I appreciate the explanation that was given from the Biden administration as far as why something like this is in place. Again, I don't think that that was actually delivered through the message that I got from the the Fox News segment that I watched. I read it, and it didn't say anything about the fact that the color borrower has been affected, and that this administration does recognize and acknowledge that. So I think that that is very transparent as far as at least trying to make the first steps. So yeah, I mean, this one CEO of one of these companies out, here or there, this guy is saying, "Hey, there's no way you can grow as a country, as an economy." He's saying basically that the government is saying, "Hey, if you spend recklessly, you lived above your means, and you stopped making your payments on time, have no fear. Someone who's done it the right way is gonna pay for it for you." He's like that. That's not capitalism at all. That's not what capitalism is about. It puts us in a situation where there's no consequences when you make bad decisions. And I think that that's where we're going wrong. I think to be looking for a consequence when we make bad decisions has never been a part of the way this economy worked. When bad decisions are made, we're looking for a solution. We're not looking for a consequence. So, again, like, this information and the feelings that these guys have who are actually experts in real estate. These are experts. These aren't just regular guys. These are experts in real estate. I'm not going to use their names out of respect, but I'm pretty sure if they hear or if they see or if they hear the topic, then they may or may not know what I'm talking about. But yeah, again, the world's turning upside down, and it's like, wow, you guys are supposed to be the prominent figures that a person who doesn't know anything about um, mortgage, but they have to know everything about where they're gonna live and how they're gonna live. Um, excuse me. You're supposed to be that person that they can go to. Um, but also you're supposed to have a heart, man. A lot of people just have a heart around Christmas. A lot of people just have a heart around the holidays or somebody's birthday, man. Have a heart. If you see something on the ground, pick it up. If you see a problem, try to provide a solution. And that's what this is. I mean, we got this knowledge and accessibility And I feel like it's not being utilized properly. And again, I mentioned earlier redlining and blockbusting, and that was part of the business as usual. At a point in time, there were plenty mortgages written before the laws were put into place to actually um, stop all of that stuff. And the people who were being affected by redlining, blockbusting, things of that nature were people of color, people of different descent. You may have had same-sex couples, but there's discrimination going on, and that's just what it comes down to. And the only way where you can stop discrimination is if the person who's discriminating wants to stop. I mean, this comes down to who you are as a person. This comes down to morals at the end of the day, if you ask me. I mean, because I'm a new mortgage loan officer, and I think that the hardest part so far was just preparing myself for the test. Now that I passed the test and I've gotten a little further and a little more knowledgeable about what it is that I'm going to be doing, the systems that I'm going to be utilizing, um, I think that it's it's a lot easier if we're willing to help. We can make it harder on ourselves if we don't want to help. If we have a particular person that we want to help and a particular group of people in which we don't want to help, this can feel like we're doing something um, stressful. But I feel like there is a solution for everyone. There's a lender for everyone. And, if you're looking for a property, definitely don't hesitate to reach out to me because that's going to be my approach to it. That there's a solution, that there's a lender for you, but we just have to figure out what your situation is and match the two up. I'm a matchmaker when it comes to this stuff. So, yeah, I like to do stuff like this. Basically, what's going on in the economy is that we're down from selling 6 million houses on an annualized basis to 4.4 million. That's a steep dip, So realtors, they're finding it really hard to make a living. Um, but the supply of homes is still alarmingly low. And on the price side, homes are $100,000, maybe approximately, more expensive today than they were in February of 2020. So, um, this is getting out of hand. So we still have the affordability problem. Basically about $270,400 for average sale of a property. Now it's about 375,000. So yeah, it's getting up there. And for that down payment, you have to figure out how you're gonna be able to come up with that. So, they try to make it seem like it's hard to qualify for a mortgage, but I think that when we're talking about mortgage qualification, I think a lot of the qualification standard we're talking about automatic um, is the automated underwriting system. And I think that, sometimes that might not be the solution for your borrower. The borrower may need to know about the manual underwriting solution. The borrower needs to know about all the solutions that you possibly have so that way, they can get a feel for where it is that they can possibly fit. Again, there's a lender for everyone, and these aren't just files; these are families, that we're dealing with. So, a lot of people don't have that in their mind. I watch videos and I hear the loan officers refer to these people or this situation as a file, and like, if I ever get into that, y'all remind me that when I started this, I told y'all that I wasn't gonna do that. So, remind me that these aren't files; these are families. And if you like that, man, put a like, put a thumbs up in the comment section, man. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. But yeah, again, these aren't files, these are families. So you treat it as such. I'm a single dad, so I'm very, very passionate about my family situation, and I believe that any other single dads out there or single moms out there feel the same exact way. And the first things first is to make sure we put a roof over our kids' heads, and to be able to do that as least expensive as possible, it's not a bad idea. Excuse me. It's not a bad idea. It's not something that's not obtainable. We just need to know that we can do it. And I think a lot of that comes down to your mortgage loan originator. I think that you know, experts believing that borrowers with a credit score of about 680 would pay around $40 more per month on a $400,000 mortgage under rules from the Federal Housing Finance Agency that go into effect on May 1st. What do y'all think about $40, man? $40 to help somebody else um, get a place to live? You think that's too much? Seriously? Um, $100, to help out and make sure somebody else can have a place to live, to make sure that another family can, successfully transfer wealth, that's in your community, like we living down the street, we live 1 mile away, 1 mile away, you still in the community. 3 miles away, we still a community. We're all in this together. And so the best it can be for you, the better it will be for me. And I honestly believe that. Again, don't forget that this stuff is going into effect on May 1st. So, if your credit is 680, just be looking to pay a little bit more for your mortgage insurance, or your private mortgage insurance. So, um, just be looking to pay a little bit more. Um, you know, um, so basically these costs are costs that will subsidize people with lower credit ratings, also looking, for a mortgage, at the same time, trying to figure out what it is that they can qualify for. So you're looking for the mortgage, and it's like, man, like I'm so terrified. I think this is on my credit. I think that is on my credit, or this isn't on my credit, or that isn't on my credit. You know, one thing's for sure is that borrowers definitely need to get familiar with the manual underwriting process, and they need to start asking questions about how that works and how they can actually benefit from it. You may still have to go through the automated underwriting system, and you may have to get a denial before you can actually utilize the manual underwriting. You may not just be able to go straight to manual underwriting. You may have to utilize it kind of like a referral, but still, it's in the same system, and whatever the information comes back as, then we should be able to figure out the next steps from there. There's definitely a remedy, and that's what this is. I don't think that there should be a consequence. There should be a remedy. So again, I wonder how many borrowers are familiar with the manual underwriting process. Are you? Um, so and if so, how did you become familiar with the process? Was it someone who told you? Are you related to a loan officer or a real estate agent? How did you get that info, man? Put that in the chat, man, or put that in the comment section. Again, I believe that sometimes the automated underwriting system, it could be unforgiving, but if a borrower should need additional approval, then there should definitely be complete transparency on the next steps, the plan of action, that we need to take in order to get you into your home. Um, Solutions should be in place for the borrower, as I mentioned, because if the system is truly automated, then no one should actually be able to predict, you know, that people are going to be passing so often. So I think that to be able to have the manual underwriting system available, um, I think that's definitely something that, needs to be put to the forefront. And again, I'm not sure if you have to get the denial first on the automated system before you can use the manual, but regardless, ask. I'm gonna ask. I'm gonna make sure we find that out. So yeah. And then you have information like the HMDA data. The HMDA data basically is a section on the application, the mortgage loan application, that basically the data is gathered up, and it's utilized to give us more information to go off when we're trying to determine the types of the number of pre-approvals that were made, the number of mortgages granted, loan amounts, the purposes of the individual loans. If borrowers of the same caliber or capacity are receiving different outcomes, things like that. You'll be able to kind of compare the information to see if there are any any factors to, influence a denial or an approval. Again, on the 23rd of March, about a month ago, about 30 days ago, um, looks like the Biden and Harris administration, they were highlighting some progress that was made to ensure that every American who buys a home has the same opportunity to build generational wealth through home ownership. Again, it's very important. Home ownership is the key generational wealth builder here. And I feel like everyone needs to have accessibility to that. If you're renting right now, you should be thinking about where it is that you want to live as far as having a home. Um, Now, the Biden, 1 year ago today, the Biden Harris administration's interagency task force on property appraisal and valuation equity, led by the U.S. Department of HUD and Urban Development, uh, basically they put together a task force um, to ensure that the appraisals weren't being botched or being affected by discriminational or discrimination, you know, attitudes or discrimination methods, things like that. People who don't like other people or other types of nationalities of people, things of that nature. So, they have a task force that they put together um, to be able to ensure that it's all fair across the board. When there's an appraisal that goes out, there's a system that they follow. And as long as the guidelines are being met, then you should be able to get your home appraised the same way as your neighbor's neighbor and your neighbor's neighbor and his neighbor's neighbor. So everyone's appraisal should be fair all across the board. They were seeing that, African American neighborhoods, or Hispanic neighborhoods, they had lower appraisals than um, neighborhoods with predominantly white people in the neighborhood. I'm gonna just say it, or Caucasian people, predominantly white people though. But those appraisals had to have been driven by some sort of discriminational factors, and that's what we're trying to get away from. Um, and again, you get a good appraisal, you know, now you're able to see, what the equity opportunities are looking like for you and your family. So again, home ownership is it's the principal source of wealth creation for most American households, but due to a nationwide shortfall in the supply of affordable homes and shifting demand for housing during the pandemic, especially, man, that pandemic was crazy. I'm glad we got through it, man, and definitely. Sorry for those who didn't. But the first time home buyers, man, they struggled in recent years to achieve home ownership. The first generation home buyers, first time home buyers of color, um, they're who's less likely to have sufficient resources for a sizable down payment due to a long-standing gap in the intergenerational wealth transfer. They're the ones who've been particularly affected. This information, it could be found on the whitehouse.com um, website as well. They talk more about um, the generational gaps um, that aren't being filled with wealth, but just being filled with stress, agony, pain, and just misappropriation. I feel like people who don't understand what's going on, um, this could be a very, very tough time for those, but it could be a very sweet time for those who do. So the FHA, they insure loans with a small down payment um, and basically more flexible underwriting. They're going to be enabling families to begin building wealth through homeownership earlier than they otherwise might, and providing an open door to credit-worthy borrowers as well. So more than 80% of the FHA borrowers are first-time home buyers, and over 45% of those are home buyers of color. The average American, the average home purchased with the FHA insured mortgage cost around half the price of the overall national medium home, and have a mortgage amount of less than 270,000. And again, you know, these are this stuff is real, and again, we're calling African American buyers, home buyers of color, um, um, Hispanic home buyers of color. Again, um, you know, let's take advantage of this, man. Um, Let's see what smaller lenders, smaller mortgage loan companies have to offer. Reason why I say smaller mortgage loan companies is because they're not going to be under the same amount of stress as your local bank is going to be with their few products that they have. You work with the smaller loan officer or loan originator, they're going to be able to have access to wholesale lenders, lenders that are looking to work with the borrower, lenders that are looking to, you know, look at your credit score and give you a chance. So they have multiple programs, multiple lenders, multiple opportunities. It's definitely worth it. Definitely worth the comparison, if anything. And again, the Biden Harris administrations, their commitment to housing stability and affordability, it looks like they're coming through on it so far. So that's definitely a thumbs up. And again, this isn't about Democrat or Republican. This isn't about any of that. So don't get me confused with any of that stuff. I'm just speaking on the fact that the administration who's in charge at the moment, they're doing a good job at keeping their word and doing what they said they're going to do. Now, in addition to the changes that were announced, the administration and HUD, they taken a range of steps to make home ownership a reality for more Americans. Again, HUD, they changed their underwriting policies. They're going to allow lenders to use positive rental history in evaluating applicants, their credit worthiness. They want to be able to evaluate your rental history to figure out what kind of client or borrower you're going to be. And I think that a lot of a lot of people of color, a lot of African Americans, a lot of Hispanics. We pay our rent, y'all pay y'all rent, and we should get credit for that. If you don't know who to go to or go through to get credit and to get it reported on your credit report, um, put in the comment section, you know, that you need help. Put help in the comment section, and I'll know that you're looking for an opportunity to report your rent to um, the credit bureau, so that way you can get credit. And when a lender, when a lender starts to look at your credit worthiness, that rental history will pop up. So again, this is for FHA insured mortgages. They just want to make it easier for first time home buyers to qualify. In addition, they want HUD, they actually expanded access to housing counseling so consumers can seek assistance from more than 1,500 HUD approved housing counseling agencies. And there's over 4,000 HUD certified housing counselors. I didn't even know that, man. That's a lot. So I know, wherever area that you're in, there's got to be a HUD housing counselor around you somewhere, within a 1 to 5 mile radius, based off how many there are. So yeah, HUD, they actually changed the way the student loan debt is evaluated as well, which is really cool. The FHA mortgage underwriting, it's gonna enable more borrowers making payments on the student loans to qualify for an FHA insured mortgage. So kind of like the same thing with the rent. Same thing. If you can show that you're paying on your loans, then that's gonna help you. That's gonna give you credit. That's gonna show that you are taking this stuff serious and that you pay your bills on time and that you can be trusted, with one of their products. So I think that's really cool. I think that is definitely honorable as well. And again, the Property Appraisal and Valuation Equity Task Force, they announced more than 20 concrete agency actions to root out any racial and ethnic bias, as I mentioned earlier, in the home valuations. And that's including strengthening the guardrails against like unlawful discrimination, like I mentioned earlier, in all stages of the residential evaluation. And you want to empower the consumers to take actions, and basically, and again, it seems like they want to build well-trained, accessible, diverse appraisers, and I think that that's definitely a good goal, and I think more people, once this information starts rolling back out here in May shortly, um, I think more people is going to have more questions. I think that the manual underwriting should be something that we should be speaking about more. I think that if you need some additional credit assistance, definitely contact your local credit evaluation, and if not, look for a credit evaluator, and if not, look for rent reporters, look for um, uh, rental karma is a good one as well, so definitely check that out. They do a good job. I used them in the past. They're not paying me for anything. I'm not, I'm just letting you know that's something that I did. It works. Excuse me. But yeah, I want to say thanks again for tuning in. Um, I want to be able to answer any questions. I hope this was informative. I hope that you're not one of the people who are upset about the fact that the Biden administration is keeping their promise, or at least trying to keep their commitment towards people of color who've been misappropriated with the transfer of wealth over time. I think that's definitely something that's honorable to recognize, and to be able to work on it is even more honorable. So I definitely want to give a round of applause to the Biden administration. I want to say thank you for keeping the minority community um, in mind, and also, I also want to, you know, just say again that this isn't about capitalism, socialism. It's not about black and white. But again, there were some practices that were introduced in the past that were very unfair, and I think that this is the remedy to that. And I think that if anyone has a problem, it's probably because you benefited from the unfairness that happened in the past. I said it. Subscribe to the channel. It's Wilt Vision, aka Corpsumer Incorporated Lifestyles channel. I want to say thank you again for tuning in. If you have any questions, leave it in the comment section. Thanks for subscribing. I'll see y'all later. Peace.
Corpsumer. Been trying to get this business right for some years, but who really cares? Incorporated my company with 100 million shares, but who really cares? I taught myself to wholesale real estate in about a year, but who really cares? My trust revocable for the benefit of a chosen few, but who really there? Who really there? You?